Hello, my friend. I want to start today with a question that might feel very familiar to you. Have you ever been in a conversation in English and felt like your brain was working too hard? Someone asked you a simple question like, what did you do today? You understand every word. You know exactly what they're asking. But before you answer, your brain starts doing something automatically. First, you think in your own language, what did I do today? I went to work, I had lunch with a friend, I came home. Then you try to change those thoughts into English. And during these few seconds, the conversation keeps moving. The other person is waiting. You start to feel nervous. Maybe you forget simple words that you actually know and wonder why is this still happening after all the time I have spent to learn English. I want to tell you something important. You are not slow. You are not bad at English. You're not failing because you do not know enough grammar or vocabulary. The real problem is something much smaller but much more powerful. It is a habit. The habit of translating inside your head. And the good news is that habits can change. And today we are going to talk about how to change this one. Think about what translation actually asks about how to change this one. Your brain to do. Imagine someone asked, how was your weekend? So rather than answering directly, your brain takes two separate steps. First, it start translating in your mother language and then it searches for the English words for the same. So your brain is doing two jobs instead of doing one. It is like trying to drive while constantly checking a map every few seconds. Eventually, you can still arrive at your destination, but everything becomes slower and more stressful. This is why English learners feel frustrated. They know more English than they think they do. They learn and recognize the vocabulary, they understand grammar rules. But during real conversation, the words do not arrive quickly enough because they are taking a longer route through translation first. The problem is usually not a lack of knowledge. The problem is that English is still being processed as information instead of becoming a language that you use automatically. Think about your first language. When someone asks you any question in your mother language, you do not stop and translate, you answer into your native language. The idea simply appears. You think and speak at the same time. That is not because you are smarter in your first language. It is because your brain has built direct connections between experiences, thoughts, and words over a period of time. The exciting thing is that your brain can build those same for English also. Many people believe fluency means learning thousands of new words or mastering every grammar rule. But fluency is often much simpler than they think. Fluency means reducing the distance between a thought and the words that express that thought. It means hearing the question, understanding it, and responding naturally without translating every sentence in your head. Let me give you a simple example. You probably know that the word hungry means. That means wanting food. But when you have not eaten all day, what is your first thought? Is it I am hungry, or do you first think in your native language and then translate into English? Knowing a word and thinking with a word, they are two different things. Fluency happens when English moves from being something you know to something you actually use to think. Now, here is the most encouraging part. Your brain is not designed to translate forever. Translation is simply a strategy you develop because it felt safe. It helped you avoid mistakes. It gave you time to think, but it was never meant to be your final destination. Your brain is capable to learn differently. It can learn to connect English directly to your experiences, emotions, and ideas without using your native language as a bridge. And when that starts to happen, something amazing changes. Speaking feels lighter, conversation become less stressful, the words begin to arrive more naturally. You spend less time searching and more time communicating. You stop worrying so much about creating perfect sentences and start sharing your ideas. This is what fluency actually feels like from the inside. It is not perfect, it is freedom. The freedom to express yourself without constantly translating every thought. The best part is that this ability is not limited to people who grew up speaking English. It is not a special talent that only some learners have. Your brain learns your first language through repeated exposure and daily use. That ability is still inside you today. You do not need a different brain, you only need a different habit. And with consistent practice, starting from simple thoughts and simple situations, you can train yourself to think in English more naturally than you imagine. So let us talk about how to actually do this. Not in theory, not in an idle situation where you suddenly have hours of free time every day. Let us talk about what this looks like in real life, inside the small moments you already have. The first method is the foundation of everything else. Start thinking in English, one small thought at a time. Do not try to build long explanations right away. Do not force yourself to sound intelligent or advanced. Start with very small pieces of language connected to your daily life. This is how the habit of thinking in English actually begins, and it is much simpler than most people imagine. It is something important to understand. You're not trying to learn new language. In many cases, you already know the words you need. The real goal is to move those words from the part of your brain that stores information into the part of your brain that uses language automatically. There is a big difference between recognizing a word in a textbook and using the same word naturally. When you think, fluency is not only about knowledge, it is about access. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, try something different. Instead of allowing your mind to immediately switch into native language, simply notice what is around you and label it directly in English. Bed, pillow, window, light, phone. Do not translate these words from your own language into English. Go directly from the object to the English word. At first, this may feel unusual because your brain is used to taking an extra step through translation. But every time you skip that extra step, you strengthen a direct connection with English. Once this becomes easier, being adding simple observations. The sky is gray today. I feel a little tired. The coffee is hot. I need to leave soon. There are not impressive sentences. They are not complicated, but they're extremely valuable because they train your brain to use English as a tool for thinking rather than treating English as a school subject. The goal is not to think perfectly. The goal is to shorten the distance between your thoughts and your English. Many learners believe that they need thousands of new vocabulary words because they can think in English. But
Often the problem is not a lack of vocabulary. The problem is that they have never practiced using the words they already know in real moments. You may already know enough English to start this habit today. Try creating small moments of English thinking throughout your day, like eating. Describe what you are eating. This is rice. It is a little too salty. I like it when you are walking outside. Notice your surroundings. There are many people today. The weather is cool. That building is very tall. When you are waiting in line or sitting on a bus, use that time as practice. I have been waiting for 5 minutes. I hope this does not take too long. I do not know somewhere at 3. None of these thoughts need to be perfect. In fact, if you wait until your English is perfect before you start thinking in English, you may never begin. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs that your brain is actively building a new habit. The important thing is not accuracy. The important thing is consistency. Every small thought in English is another repetition, another opportunity for your brain to strengthen this skill. There is one more technique that can make a surprisingly big difference. Start having imaginary conversations in English. This may sound strange at first, but it is one of the most powerful forms to practice available because real conversations are simply a series of questions and responses. The more you rehearse the process internally, the more familiar it becomes externally. Imagine someone asks you, "What are you doing this weekend?" You answer in your mind, "I am not completely sure yet. Maybe I will visit my family, or maybe I will stay home and relax." Imagine someone asks, "What kind of food do you enjoy?" You respond, "I really like noodles. I also enjoy spicy food." Imagine someone asks about your job, your hobbies, your plans for the future, or your favorite movie. You do not need another person beside you to practice these situations. You can prepare your brain for conversations long before they happen. Interestingly, athletes often use visualization before important competitions. They practice movements before performing them in real life. Language learners benefit from a similar approach. When you imagine conversations in English, you are helping your brain become more comfortable producing English thoughts. You are helping your brain for realistic conditions. The conversation is not actually happening, but your brain is still practicing the process. At first, these internal conversations may feel slow and awkward. You may still notice yourself translating sometimes. That is completely normal. You are not trying to eliminate translation overnight. You are gradually teaching your brain a new pathway. With enough repetition, thinking directly in English becomes easier. Then it becomes more natural. Eventually, you may notice something surprising. An English response appears in your mind before you have to translate it. That moment is important. It is evidence that your brain is changing. It is a proof that fluency is not something that can be achieved. My second method about using the time you already have in a smarter way. People believe they need to find extra time to practice English. They tell themselves that they will start when work becomes less stressful, when they become calm, when they finally have a full hour available every day. But for most people, that perfect hour never appears. Days turning to weeks and weeks turning to months, and they continue waiting for the right moment to begin. The truth is that fluency is not built by finding larger blocks. It is built through repeated contact with English throughout your day. The brain learns languages through frequency, not intensity. 20 minutes of your day, meaningful lesson every day that is more powerful than 2 hours once a week. You do not need more time. You need to use the time you already have differently. Think about your average day. You wake up, you get ready, you eat breakfast, you travel somewhere for bed. Inside all these ordinary moments, there are dozens of opportunities to practice English. The problem is not that you lack time. The problem is that you have not started seeing these moments as opportunities. Yet, one important mindset shift is this: English does not need to become another task on your list to do. It does not need a special place in your schedule. Instead, English can become part of the life you're already living. This makes learning feel much more natural and much more sustainable. Over the long term, in the morning while you are getting ready, try thinking in English about your day ahead. You might think, I'm going to have a busy day today. I need to send 2 emails before lunch. I hope the meeting does not take too long. These thoughts require no extra time because they happen while you are already doing something else. You are simply changing the language of your thoughts. During your commute, many people automatically scroll through social media in their native language. Instead, consider replacing just 10 minutes with English. Listen to a short podcast episode, a YouTube video, or any content that genuinely interests you the most. Point is that the time is already being spent. You are not adding another activity to your day. You are simply changing what enters your mind during that time. While cooking, describe your actions in English. I'm cutting the vegetables. I need to add a little more salt. This smells really good while eating. Think about the food you are having. This is a little too sweet for me. I prefer spicy food. I think I would drink some water. These simple thoughts may not seem impressive, but they train your brain to connect English directly to real experiences. Instead of translations, before going to bed, spend 3 to 5 minutes writing in English. Keep it simple. Write 3 sentences about your day. For example, today I had a meeting that lasted longer than expected. I felt tired because I was happy I finished an important task. This exercise is especially powerful because it connects English to your own life. The brain remembers information much better when it carries personal meaning. It is much easier to remember a sentence about your own stressful meeting than a random one from a textbook about someone you have never met. Personal English becomes memorable English. Another habit that many learners underestimate is changing the language settings on their phone to English. Think about how many times you unlock your phone. Each day, maybe 30 times, maybe 5 or 0 times. May every single time you encounter useful English words in real situations, settings, notifications, search, battery related, delete, update, you are not trying to memorize them. You are simply seeing them repeatedly in meaningful context. This type of exposure is powerful because the brain learns through repeated action. It seems the same words connected. Recognition gradually becomes automatic. After a few days, these words start feeling familiar. After a few weeks, you stop noticing that you are reading English at all. You simply understand it. This is exactly how fluency develops. Not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through hundreds of small moments, repeated consistency over time. Many people underestimate how powerful these small habits can be because they seem too simple. They think real situation comes from long day studies or complicated learning system, but language learning has never been about perfection. It has always been about consistency. 5 minutes a day because your brain needs regular reminders that English is part of your your life. The third method is that one most learners have heard of it, but few people actually do correctly. Shadowing. And I want to spend real time when it is done right. It is one of the most effective tools available to any English learner at any level. Here is a simple version of what shadowing is. You listen to someone speaking English and you repeat what they say, or just a moment after you copy not just the words but the speed, the tone, the rhythm, the natural pauses. You are not translating, you are not analyzing. You are copying the way a musician learns a song, not by reading about it, but by listening and playing along until it starts to feel natural in their hands. Let me show you what this actually looks like. I will say a sentence, you listen, and then you say it back out loud. Not in your head, out loud. I enjoy learning English every day. Say it, English is becoming easier for me. Say it, I am getting better one step a day. These sentences might have felt a little awkward. That is normal. The first time you do anything new with your body, it feels uncomfortable, and speaking is a physical skill. Your lips, the way you breathe between words, all of these are physical habits. And like any physical habit, they improve through repetition, not through thinking about them. Here is how to use shadowing effectively in your daily practice. Find a short audio clip, 30 seconds to 1 minute long. It should be at your level where you understand. Most of what is being said, maybe 80%. Listen to it once all the way just to understand, then play it again, and this is speak along with it. Same word, same speed, same tone. Do this with the same clip 5 or 10 times, not a different clip each time, the same one repeatedly until it starts to feel familiar, until your mouth gets accustomed with it. What is coming before? Why does this work so well? Because when you shadow, something important happens. You stop thinking about the language, stop producing it, the words, stop being things you have to, your brain has to do, and start being things that they are easy, and you stop translation, you start recognizing the words. And what is the English word for this? You are just speaking the way you speak in your native language without consciously choosing each day. That automatically quiet that feeling of the language. What are you building when you shadow correctly? A common mistake people make while shadowing, that they are choosing too many videos. They find a fast topic to deliver. Go for the small shadow first for 30 seconds. Observe yourself. And the most important thread is, don't feel like that is a lot of work I have to do, but you need to choose the right level for you. So what is the right level? You need to decide that. So this is a simple podcast where I told you 3 ways how you can think in English. Do follow them, and surely you will be improving your way. And if you like my video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.